Hello everyone and welcome back to Susie Scraps. In our last video, we prepared these 4 signature pages for my vintage Christmas journal that I'm working on. And in today's video, we're going to make the cover and prepare all of the signature pages. So I hope you're ready for some paper crafting fun. Let's get to it. I went through my stash and tried to find something, some packaging or something that would fit. I wasn't able to find the perfect size packaging. I did, however, find these 2 pieces of cardboard. Y'all would not believe I save everything. I have got stuff everywhere, but they are the perfect height. I just am going to have to cut this down a little bit, and then we're going to make a spine for this. So that's what we're going to get started with. To begin with, I'm taking one of my signature pages. Remember, I want this lace hanging out, so I am going to go ahead and cut my cardboard a little bit shorter than that. And I'm going to go ahead and mark this one as well, because they need to be the same. And then I'm going to trim those down using a utility knife and a cutting mat that I have here to trim them down. It's pretty thick cardboard, which is definitely what I want for my cover. We'll save that for something else. All right, so now we have our front and back. Okay, I'm going to use another piece of this just to make me a spine. This is going to be a pretty chunky journal. We're going to do 4 signatures. I figured we would just do 4 signatures since we have these 4. And I have about this many papers that I want to add in it. So it's going to be a chunky journal. I do want a pretty big spine on it. So let's just do it about right here. Perfect. All right, the first thing I am going to do is hinge these together. So that's going to be the size of our journal right there. I'm going to use some masking tape first off. And I'm going to also all this is going to be covered. No worries, we're just making it sturdy. We have a book cover. It's going to be a very big book, maybe too big. That's okay. I like my journals big. All right, for the next step, I want to decoupage this journal cover. And I have some of this beautiful recycled paper. Actually, I want this. Oh, it is almost a perfect fit. Yep. So I'm going to decoupage that right on there. But first, I'm going to paint this white. We just want that decoupage paper to really pop. It doesn't have to be full coverage. I just want a white background. Not going to worry about the inside. We will cover that with some pretty papers. All right, we'll let that dry. All right, this is going to be the front. So I tore my paper out and I'm going to decoupage this on the front like so. And then I'll put this one on the back like so. And then I'm going to cover the spine with some fabric. Okay, to decoupage these down, I'm using Fusion Decoupage and Transfer Gel. You can use Mod Podge. I just have this available here at my store. And it's dry, so it is perfect for putting onto this paint. And it will also seal that clay-based paint in. So I'm putting a layer down. I like to mist my paper. It just helps me smooth out wrinkles. I don't want to cut off the bird's tail, but again, I don't want to cut off much of Christmas either. So there we go. Perfect. Then I will just take another layer over the top. Let that dry, and I'll do the same thing with this and let them both dry. Okay, this is still drying. I went ahead and cut down a piece of fabric, and I'm gonna go ahead and glue it down using this same transfer gel. I put that aside for drying, and now we're going to work on making our signature pages. So we know we have these 4 pages. So those are going to be the start. Each of our signatures are going to start with one of these. I hope those are all on the screen. And then I pulled out, first of all, we'll start with the plain paper. I pulled out just some regular tea-dyed paper, and then this is some parchment paper. So we're going to go ahead, and each of them is going to get a parchment paper. Then we're going to go ahead, and each is going to get an equal number of tea-dyed paper. This is just how I like doing it. You can do whatever you want. I'm just, I don't know, I like to try to make things equal when I can. Okay, perfect. Each of them got 3 tea-dyed papers and a parchment paper. Then I have what I like to call my special papers. So I have some short papers. I got some, what is this called? Not acetate, but just kind of see-through thin paper. I've got a couple of, these are stationery, Christmas stationery. And then I have a couple of vintage Christmas cards. I've got a coloring page, just one. And I have some, what is that? Ledger paper. I got a map page. I got a book page. This is from that journal that we used. And I hinged a couple of pages together for it. And then I have just some cardstock and some different Christmas papers. So let's give each of them a cardstock. We'll count that as one. Let's give each of them a scrapbook paper. Let's see. Each of them a map page, a ledger page, a coloring page, and a book page. Each gets a greeting card. Okay, each gets a smaller page. What do we have left here? We only got 3. I need one more of these. That way each can have one of those. Well, let's see how many pages we have per signature here. Like I said, this is going to be a chunky monkey book. We have this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pages per signature. That bothers me a little, having an uneven page, but it's fine. You know what? I'll pull it out. I know what I'll do. Okay, I pulled out 4 more signature pages. Just some lined writing. Each of them will get one of those. So now each one will have 12 pages per signature. So if we have 12 4-sided pages, right then and there, we're getting 48 pages per signature, and we have 4 signatures. So 4 times 48. $184 pages per journal for this journal. So that's a big journal. All right, now I'm just going to start building these in the order that I want them in. So my dilemma with this page is I really want to have, well, one of the Decembers will show, because these are going to be the size of our pages. So we're absolutely going to have to cut some of this down. It's going to cut some of that one off, and most of that's going to be there. I'm just going to have to deal with that, I think. But I did really want to put one of these even folded pages in there. It will have most of this in here, which is cool. Okay, that's going to be fine. I'm going to make the first page inside each of these, this one, and then a special page, and then I'll just alternate back and forth between plain paper and fancier stuff. There we have one signature. We'll have to cut all them down. Let's see what we have. So we'll have this, this, this. All right, and then this will be the center page. We can make it super pretty. So there's one. Order that I want my signature pages to be in. At this point, I like to do whatever I'm going to do to the pages that I can't do after binding. Like, for instance, sewing or stamping's easier before you bind it in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the center page for each one, and I'm going to sew around all of my center pages. And for these longer ones, instead, I can just cut this off, but I also can fold it in and make a pocket, which is what I'm going to do here. And then when I sew it, it'll sew the pocket closed. All right, so these are all my center pages. I'm going to sew off camera around all these, and I will be back. started sewing, and I remembered I've got to actually cut these pages down. So I definitely need to do that before I start sewing. So let me mark. We are going to cut here and right here. Now all of our signature pages are cut down to the same size. And now I can sew that center one. Okay, I got the sewing done. Let me show you what I did. These are almost ready to bind into our journal. Look how yummy it's looking. I can't wait. So all I did is, I had already sewed around that page when we did those. So I sewed around a couple of pages. Where's that? There. Got a little problem areas, but we'll fix that in the final thing. And then I also added some lace onto a couple of pages. And I did that same thing in every signature. Sewed around one page and then added, this is some fabric that I, ruffled up. Just some fabric scraps I had laying around. I love for things to hang off the edge. So there's that one. This one, I had already did this when we were originally doing these. So I did another black piece of lace. I sewed all the center pages that had the pockets, sewed them as well as another page in the journal, just to give it that little extra attention. And this one, I did some more lace, sewed the center page, and another page in here too. So like I said, these are almost ready to bind. Another thing that I like to do before binding is stenciling. So on these pages like this, where it's white, this one's okay because it's going to have stuff in the pockets. But just a plain old page like this right here, I will stencil some on that. We'll do that in just a minute. And also stamping. You can stamp after it's bound into. I just like to do as much as I can before binding. And so that's what we will do next. And then we are going to be binding this vintage Christmas journal into the cover that we have made today that is still drying. We will be doing that in the next video. So be sure you subscribe to my channel and turn that notification bell on so you don't miss when I post that video. All right, so let's do that stamping and stenciling, and then we'll be done with today's video. Hopefully the cover will be dry. There's still a couple more things we're gonna need to do to it, but hopefully it will be dry enough when we finish this. I got one stencil. I thought it looked a little bit like a snowflake, and I don't want to overwhelm myself or give myself too many options when it comes to stenciling. Okay, let's see. I got some red ink and some green ink just for funsies. Let's see. There we go. All right, that's fun. Never used this stencil before. All right, so that just gave that page a whole lot more interest. I'll do a little more on this one and then sprinkle stenciling throughout the book. So again, I do not want to overwhelm myself. I just picked 2 stamps, a little snowman and a little stocking. And I'm going to stick with black ink Let's see. Put something here. Perfect. And maybe we'll do something on here. Do one more snowman and one more stocking, and then I might grab that Christmas tree and or a Santa Claus. I love this Santa. Taking up a lot of the page, but we have plenty of writing space in this, so it'll be okay. And these are separated by several pages, so we'll just go ahead and do the tree there. Next step, binding and finishing up our cover, and we will do that in next week's video and finish up this vintage Christmas journal. I am loving it. I hope you guys are too. See y'all again next week.